Good afternoon, guys. Max Convexity here. Let's take a look at these Defiance funds. Triple QY lost $5 million on the day, but that took them from positive 14 cents a share to negative 14 cents a share just in one day. Unfortunately, JEPY did a little better, is down 1.2 million, still not a great day, brings them to negative 4 cents a share on the month. They were positive 13 cents a share yesterday, so they lost 17 cents a share today. IWMY, same story. They didn't do quite as bad, though. They lost 970,000. Takes their earnings per share down from 32 cents positive to 18 cents positive. All right, Tress was good news today. I'm showing Tress's price moved out of the valley of death, and Tress is up about $5,900 right now. That's a nice job, Tress. We'll see what happens tomorrow. I just checked the website, and they have not adjusted their positions yet. As of now, the position's still the same as it has been previously. All right, so let's look at these single stocks. We have Tesla right here. Not a great day. Let's check out Coney right here. See what kind of day Coney had. Okay, well, it's not terrible. Not a terrible day. Some profit boxes will probably show up at some point. I don't know why it's so slow. There we go. They sold options at the 240 level. They've had a heck of a month. Nvidia. We'll look at Nvidia next. Oh man, that was a nice bar in the last half hour. Somebody bought this stock, didn't they? Right before the close. All right, so this one has options sold at the 850 level, but then they rolled and they sold some more at the 905 level. So they have them scattered out pretty good, which is good. And then we'll check old Misty. All right, Misty did not rally in the last half hour. In fact, it dumped in the last half hour, it looks like. Okay, well, it's been on fire lately, so it's fine. They have 4 strike prices above us, laddered everywhere, which is good because this stock can move in a hurry. So to have these laddered out so you don't get all your strikes blown through at once, it's a good plan. All right, so let's look at this. Let's look at the one-day change. Okay, so pretty much everything was bearish today, some more than others. Looks like MSTR, Master Strategies, was down 20%. Now, this is some good buffer because the high-yield fund was only down 14, so it only got 70% of the downside, or it had a 30% buffer, which is very nice. That's the way it's supposed to work. It's not supposed to work like this. Look at this. Maxi outperformed its underlying. For Maxi's underlying, I'm using the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust, just to have something to compare it to. On SVOL's underlying, I'm using the S&P 500. Short volatility is basically the very similar trade to long stocks. So we'll just compare it to the S&P. And on ULTY's index, I compared it to the S&P also. I didn't know what else to compare it to, and usually you compare everything to the S&P. So compared to the S&P, ULTY is underperforming, but it doesn't really have an equivalent. It doesn't really have a benchmark, a true benchmark like some of these other ones do. So the big standout on the downside was Misty. And also AIYY did not have a great day either. Parent asset down 8.3. They were down 7. They caught about 90% of the downside there. But this is just over a one-day time period, so it's not a huge deal. A lot of the stocks today outperformed on the downside, like Infly, FEPI aptly outperformed on the downside. But then we had a lot of them that got a nice buffer, just like they're supposed to. Coney was very much a nice buffer, only got about 60% of the downside. Good job. MSFO had a little buffer on it. Sky had a nice little buffer on it. The only one on the day that was up was XOMO, and of course that's ExxonMobil's high yield fund. And on a day like today, well, I take that back. Somehow Nvidia scraped out a profit. There's no way. Nvidia finished the day with a profit. I'm calling BS on that. I'm going to have to pull that up on a chart. I guess we just looked at it, but I didn't think they would squeak the day out with the profit. Well, yeah, I mean, they're ahead of where they were Monday morning also. I'll be down. I'll be damned. They're ahead. Yeah, Nvidia finished with a profit. Maybe that means this is just a one-day bounce. Usually the market lately has been following Nvidia, or Nvidia's been leading the market. Maybe this is just a one-day pullback or something. The people that trade Nvidia don't seem to be worried about it. Well, that's interesting. But you could see it was a lot of red on the screen for most everything besides Nvidia and ExxonMobil. Really bad day for Misty and AIYY. And Maxie didn't have a great day either. All right. The standout in the S&P on the single day performance was iSpy underperformed. The rest of them were in line with how you'd expect. In fact, JEPI and XYLD both had really good days. They performed the best. They held up the best. Then let's look at the Nasdaq single day. And on the Nasdaq single day, I put some more on here to follow. I put YMAX on here. It's essentially a Nasdaq fund. And I just use an underline as the Nasdaq. Even though it's not really its underline, we'll compare it to the Nasdaq. But YMAX lost more than Nasdaq today. YMAG lost a little bit less than the Nasdaq today. I also put FEPI on here, and I just used the Nasdaq for FEPI's underline as well. These three funds are kind of similar, so it's all right, I think, to compare them with the Nasdaq and to keep them down here and to compare them with each other as well. So YMAG held up the best today, then FEPI, then YMAX. Out of the other funds, the best fund, the fund that held up the best was QYLD. They had the most buffer. They only caught about a quarter of the parent's downside, which was awesome. The rest of them, I would say, were in line and caught somewhere between 70 and 80% of the parent's downside, kind of like you'd expect. I'm sorry I didn't have FEPI and YMAX and YMAG on here, but I think we should start following those a lot more closely. And also, I added Maxi, SVOL, some ones on this one too, and I'll keep adding as I think of more. If there's more you want to follow, I can put them on more on here. I put Clip on here and some other ones. If there's any you guys want to see on the tracking error report, just tell me and I'll add it to the tracking error report by tomorrow. All right, guys, you guys have a wonderful day. Hopefully the high yield stocks will do better tomorrow. QQQY had a really bad day, but I hope it's just a one day deal. Well, they lost the day before too, so I hope it's just a 2-day deal. Hopefully they'll turn around tomorrow. It's really good news that Nvidia didn't even have a down day; that they actually had an up day. Hopefully that is going to tell us, that's telling us there's better days ahead in the market. We shall see. I'll be back tonight with some more information.